I was out in the moonlight tonight thinking about when I was a little girl how much I loved fairy tales, right? I started thinking about symbolism in fairy tales because when I was a child, I loved them. And even then, before I even knew the word psychology, right? Before I knew the word patriarchy, matriarchy, before any of that entered my mind, something always felt wrong. I never understood why the dragons had to die. The dragon wasn't terror to me, it wasn't scary. The dragons were power, they were fire. And the dragons didn't answer to the humans, they flew. The dragon was wisdom that could not be domesticated, right? And the fairies, they weren't cute decorations with wings. They were echoes of something ancient. Fragments of the goddess, once sovereign, once revered, right? Ancient Sumerian texts teach us all early civilizations were matrinal, matriarchal, men and women equal in a circle protecting the children, not a hierarchy. But now, the goddess, once revered, is now shrunk and made to serve. See, that discomfort that I felt as a little girl, that wasn't imagination, that was intuition. Because myths don't just entertain, they train the nervous system. They teach us who is allowed to hold power and who must be punished for it, right? So even as a little girl, the stories I would love, the myths were teaching me that men were in charge, right? Psychology taught me something very important. Children internalize stories before logic, before belief, before consent. And for centuries, the dominant stories told to the collective psyche were written during periods of extreme gender anxiety, times when women's autonomy threatened the men. So what did the stories do? They reframed female power as danger. Dragons became monsters to be slain, not because they were evil, but because they were uncontrollable. Wise women became witches. Goddesses became side characters. Queens became a fucking prize. And women, real women, were trained to see themselves through those fucking symbols. Look at the pattern, ladies. The powerful woman is stripped of agency. The intelligent woman is punished. The sexual woman is shamed. The sovereign woman is rewritten as cautionary tale. The only reason the Catholics fucking worship Mother Mary is because she's fucking silent. Right? Silent Mary. This is not coincidence. This is mythic conditioning. Right? From a psychological standpoint, guys, patriarchal societies externalized their fear of dependence. Men were cut off from nurture, from emotional regulation, from embodied belonging. And instead of healing that rupture, the culture blamed the source of nurture itself, the mother. They blamed Eve, the womb, the feminine. So stories were created where men could feel heroic while destroying the very thing that they need to survive. And then this is where the fucking Holy Grail enters the goddamn story. We are told it's an object, a cup, a relic, something lost. Nope. Psychologically, you guys, that makes no sense, okay? I have an associate's, a bachelor's, studied theology, went to college for a master's degree. It makes no sense. The Grail represents wholeness, union, restoration, containment. And containment, true containment, is not a masculine function. It's maternal. The Holy Grail was never missing, it was disowned. Patriarchal culture could not tolerate was the truth that spiritual authority once lived in the body of the woman. The women are the seers, the mothers run the household, in the womb, in the blood, in the cauldron of transformation. So instead of honoring her, the culture mytholized her around her absence. Men rode across continents searching for meaning, not realizing they were running from their own fragmentation, right? The men rewrote the Bible and took Lilith out. From a psyche severed from the feminine, right? This is textbook psychology. When a society suppresses An essential function, it doesn't disappear, it becomes obsession. The Grail quest was obsession. A symbolic scramble to reclaim what had been violently removed. The regulating, grounding, life-giving force of the feminine. God and goddess. Read the original text, you guys. They. And women were told to participate in this erasure. Be smaller, be chosen, be rescued, be quiet. Even today, women are still unconsciously performing these scripts for men. Waiting for validation from a man, waiting for permission from a man. 2026 is the year of the fire horse. Ladies, we aren't asking permission anymore. We aren't asking permission to tell her story, to tell the truth. Waiting to be worthy from a man, no. That's not weakness, girls. That's conditioning. They've conditioned you to believe this. But here's the truth they never wanted you to remember. The dragon was never meant to die. No, she was meant to be integrated. The goddess was never dethroned by nature. She was dethroned by fear and itty-bitty men. And the Grail was never lost. It was always within the body that creates life, in the psyche that knows how to hold paradox, in the woman who remembers herself. Matriarchy merges is not about domination. This is a movement about restoration. Psychologically healthy societies require balance. You cannot silence half the population and think you're going to heal. Attachment theory confirms this. So I've learned a lot in psychology over my years. Neuroscience confirms it. Without the feminine, without nurture, intuition, relational intelligence, systems collapse into violence, hierarchy, disassociation. Sound fucking familiar, America? The work now is not to destroy men. It is to end the myth that power requires submission. It is to reclaim the stories, to re-enter the myths, not as victims or prizes, but as authors. So when you feel that ache, that quiet knowing that something has been wrong for a very long time, when you hear me speak, when my words make you question your relationship with God and goddess, that's not rebellion, girls. It's fucking memory. The dragon stirs because she was never dead. The cauldron still simmers. The Grail was never gone. And the matriarch does not ask permission to emerge. I'm here. She remembers women. And that's it. That's enough. Right? If you're waking up today to this message and you're remembering and you're sad the dragons died, you want to know something? The dragon was never meant to die. The Grail was never a cup. We are the source energy, gods and goddesses walking. Go study your Bible. Learn about Jesus. Learn about Christ consciousness. Go read the Quran, which is the first 5 books of the Bible. Go read the fucking Epiphany, Mary's story. Go read Timothy. Go. It's all fucking there. It's not my fault I read and do the work. But if you're here and you're in the movement, the matriarchy merges, guys. And we are done playing small. My new song's out everywhere. The Genesis rewritten. Lilith's View. Go listen to it.